Hello everyone, so welcome to this series about project initiation, and in this third video I'm going to talk about project boundaries. So project boundaries is a little bit like building a fence around an area, because basically you're defining what will be inside the fence and what will not be inside the fence. So this will be a process of negotiation between the project team and the stakeholders. And like I said, by creating this fence, it will allow me to create the focus and to give a direction to the project. So here I'm going to define what is going to be in the boundary and what is going to be outside of that boundary. And these boundaries that I'm going to create are normally going to describe three different things. They're going to describe what is the result of the project, what is the rationale of the project, and what are the project parameters that might drive my plan or my execution. In other words, what are the constraints and assumptions that I might have that will affect the way I do my project management. Now, in order to do that, in order to define these boundaries, I feel that for me, one of the best ways to define the boundaries is to use the W elements and use them to set my boundaries. What is the W elements? It's basically 6 different questions or 6 different categories of questions that I can ask that will help me define each one of the 3 boundaries. If you remember, just in the previous slide, what I said is the very first boundary we have is the project description. And for that, I'm going to have to answer the question, what is to be accomplished? The second boundary we had was the project rationale. In other words, answering the question, why is this project being done? Finally, the last category we had was assumptions and the constraints. And basically here we answer questions such as who is involved in the project, when is the project being expected to start and finish, where will the project work be conducted, and how should the project be planned and executed. As you can see, all of these questions start with a W except the last one, but there's still a W there, so I call that still 6 Ws, all right? And by answering these 6 questions, you really understand what is your project about. And I would say it's important to do this even before you start planning the project, because it's going to save you so much time by understanding these 6 things. Now, obviously, each one of these 6 Ws could be broken down into a variety of information. For example, when you ask about the what of the project, what is it to be accomplished, you can define this thing as the expected result of the project, the characteristics of the product or the service you're creating, what is the list of deliverables that must be completed. So even though it's a simple question, there's a lot of information that you can get out of that actually, I would say more, that you must get out of that question. Regarding the why, here you're going to be defining the rationale of the project. So you have to answer questions, for example, like, okay, what is the rationale for selecting this project and not another project? There's always more options to the projects that a company or that a client can take. Why specifically this one? What is the links from this project to any strategic plans or objectives of the corporation in case you're doing an internal project? What is the business benefits of this project? What regulatory or compliance issues might we have regarding this project? When it comes to the who, then we're answering questions, for example, who is the customer, who are the stakeholders, who's going to be the project team, who are the approval authorities, in other words, the people that say yes or no regarding issues in the project. When it comes to the when, obviously, when is the start date, when is the end date, what external factors might affect my milestones. Milestones is kind of like little deadlines that you have along the way, and by having those milestones, it allows us to make sure that the project is on track. Regarding the where, you might questions, for example, is my team co-located or is it virtual? Do I have sub-team work groups? Do I have contractors or vendors I have to deal with? And regarding the how, things, for example, like, okay, is there any constraints or assumptions I need to take? What is there procedures or processes that I must follow in this project? What budget limitations do I have? So as you can see, by answering all this, you kind of get a feeling of what is the project about. So when you go to a more detailed planning, you don't make as many mistakes as you would do in case you did not answer this question. So to summarize, indeed, Defining the boundaries of the project is something that must be done during initiation, and only by doing it can you actually understand the reasons and the motives of this project and allow you to also understand what is the way you should manage your project. Without doing this, I would say it is still possible to have a successful project, but you would be taking much more risk for something that it's so easy to do. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you have any questions, just drop them on the comment section below.